Okay, good afternoon or good morning. Composition 1. We are now on week 4. As I said, time flies, so here we are. This is a pre-recorded lecture, as usual. What I asked you to do for homework last time was page 9 and 10, where they have some paragraphs for you to deconstruct and analyze. Now, the due date actually isn't until the end of this week on the 26th. So I'm not gonna go over that stuff because some of you, actually most of you, haven't submitted it yet. So that'll have to wait until next week. However, we are going to continue on into the textbook. I've decided not to give you any homework this week, just so we can catch up with the stuff we already did. Because some students are sending me emails asking me if I did it right. And I don't know that yet because I've only seen your supporting arguments from the first assignment, and most of them are fine, but they could use some improvement. But we might as well handle both things at the same time and just work through some of the stuff in the textbook that demonstrates what you're supposed to be doing for me when you do these exercises. So the next page in the textbook is page 11. And there's a sample paragraph there. I'm just going to read it over, and this exercise is supposed to demonstrate how you shouldn't go off topic, how you should stay on topic and carefully argue your points and make sure they're neatly connected to each other. Like I said, my high school teacher used to call this coherence, right? So if you start talking about random things, then you become what we call incoherent. And incoherent means people can't understand you. And to a certain extent, if you talk incoherently, it kind of sounds like you're a little bit crazy, like you're unhinged. And you might be, maybe not crazy, but you might be emotional or out of control. And that's what happens to your brain when you're not organized. So if you write like that, unless it's intentional and you're trying to create an impression, the person's not going to understand what you're trying to say. What's the point here? Okay? Sometimes when you talk, you do go off on a tangent. You may notice in my lectures that I do that. That's mostly because when I come across an interesting point, I usually elaborate on it because it's a teaching point. And in some cases, I think it might be interesting to you. So I tell you a little bit of a story about, my experience or what somebody else did, or this is a strategy. And then I come back to the main thrust, the main line of the lecture. When you're writing, you shouldn't really do this, okay? At least not in an essay, especially one that's very short. So I'm only asking you in this class to write paragraphs, and when you do your response papers, it's going to be 1 to 2 pages, very short. So basically, if you go off topic, you have no time to come back to the topic. When you're doing a lecture that's 30 minutes long, or if you were in the class, it might be even longer, then you have the opportunity to, step aside, talk about something that's kind of relevant, just for the purpose of illustrating a point, or maybe to keep the class interested, and then move back to what you were originally going to talk about, okay? So just remember that when you have something that's 12 sentences, if 4 of those sentences go off topic, you're getting close to half the paragraph that's not related to your point. That's not going to make a very effective argument. So here we have, on page 11, a paragraph entitled Learning Responsibility. So it says, my first job was as a sales clerk in a small clothing store. It wasn't a difficult job, and it wasn't really a very interesting job. My best friend had a more exciting job. Every weekend, I had to open the store at 10 a.m. I couldn't be late. Now on weekends, I like to sleep late. I helped customers find clothes. I kept the store neat and clean. My parents' house was very clean too. I used the cash register and handled credit cards, so I had to be very careful. These things all taught me responsibility. Now I work in a research laboratory. I don't work in clothing anymore, but I still use that important skill I learned in my first job. Okay. Now, that paragraph is sort of the opposite argument, as you remember, the one that I read about, emphasizing studying and not doing part-time jobs. It's the opposite argument, right? So this is the way you should set up. This is how you should, approach your writing in all of your classes. The reason we teach this class to you freshmen, partially because writing should be fun, and once you get used to it, it can be fun, but really it's not really about fun. It's about effectiveness, right? So when you approach a topic, when you're an undergrad, often the professor's just going to say, write about this, okay? And they might even say, write about it from this perspective. But as you get older, as you take more difficult classes and you develop your writing skills and you handle more difficult classes, your professors are just going to say, here's the topic, write about it. And how are you supposed to deal with that? Well, you have to come up with your own argument, right? So if it's a question like, should you study during high school? That's fairly straightforward. You can be on the pro side or the con side. So we had the paragraph, which was the pro argument, emphasizing the amount of time you need to spend with your friends and in school and studying and resting, and that's more important. And this is the con argument. This is the one that I actually articulated to you, is that I had part-time jobs throughout high school. It didn't make me suffer any. The reason I didn't do well in some classes is because I was lazy or I didn't like the classes, didn't pay attention. It had nothing to do with my part-time job. My part-time job gave me some other learning experiences which I thought were valuable. And that's what this argument is. However, the main problem with this paragraph is this person is talking about things that aren't helping them learn. The title is Learning Responsibility. Some of these things are not helping them learn responsibility. So this is one of the things that's going to be on the exam. I'm going to write a paragraph and they're going to be sentences that are off topic, that do not need to be there, and they're not related to the main point. So since I said I'm not going to give you homework this week because I'm going to give you a break and let you catch up, and because I want to see how everybody's doing so I can give some feedback, I'm going to just pick out the sentences for you. So listen carefully here. They're all numbered, right? My first job was as a sales clerk in a small clothing store. It wasn't a difficult job, and it wasn't really a very interesting job. Nothing really that bad there, okay? There wasn't much of there's not much of an argument there. There could be a better topic sentence, but that's not the point of this exercise. So we're not going to worry about that. My first job was as a sales clerk in a small clothing store, and it wasn't very difficult, and it wasn't a very interesting job, but it taught me a lot of skills that I used later. That would be a full topic sentence, including an argument, okay? It's missing that reason. Anyway, the third sentence, my best friend had a more exciting job. Really, that has no relevance. Does that make you learn more responsibility or less? No, you're just comparing that because it doesn't matter if your friend has a less exciting job, a higher paying job, a lower paying job, he has a job in another country. It has nothing to do with you learning responsibility from your job. That doesn't belong. Every weekend I had to open the store at 10 a.m. Okay, I couldn't be late. Good. That's learning responsibility. Right on topic. Now on weekends, I like to sleep late. Okay, if you're not working on weekends, well, that doesn't matter, right? If you like to sleep late on the weekends and you're not working, that's not teaching you responsibility. That's not related to your job. That's just not working. So take that out too. I helped customers find clothes. I kept the store neat and clean. Those are responsibilities of the job. My parents' house was very clean too. Great. Not responsibility. Your parents could be doing that. Your mother could be doing that. You could be doing it, but that's not the point. Who knows? That's not related to the job, and that's not teaching anything. Those three sentences, number 3, number 6, and number 8, are not directly related to learning responsibility from a job, and that is the topic. So those are out. So there's really only 9 sentences in that paragraph, and the topic sentence could be better. It could have a reason. So weak paragraph. All right. So when you're doing your homework, if you haven't done it yet, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Find the sentences that don't belong. Say this is not coherent. The writer's going off topic. This is a weak paragraph. That's the kind of answer I'm looking for. Okay. So then it goes down to number 14, which refers to the same paragraph, and it says, well, if we added more sentences, which one of these sentences would still fit with the topic? 14a says, I answered the phone and opened the mail. That's something that you could do working at a small clothing store. They have a phone. Nowadays, it might be smartphone, but lots of stores still have a landline. So opening the mail, answering the phone, connected. That belongs. C, connected. If it's connected, you write a C, and if it's unconnected, you write a U. And I'm helping you do these. Normally we would do them in class, but we will do them through the screen, through cyberspace instead. B, on weekends I did my homework for school. Good for you. Not connected to the job. U. C, that was B. C, I once worked delivering pizza too. That's also good. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this particular job where you learn responsibility. Did you learn responsibility delivering pizza? Maybe, but unless you're going to talk about both, it's really just mentioning another job. That's not what we're talking about here. Maybe you delivered pizza for one day and then you quit. That's not responsibility. So unless you explain, it doesn't belong there. So that's another U. D, I learned how to choose and order new clothing. That sounds like it's related. You have to make a decision. It's your responsibility. You get trained to do that. That sounds like it's connected to the job and responsibility too. E, dressing neatly and professionally was an important part of the job. Yes, because you're in the store, and of course, if you're selling neat, clean clothes, you don't want to be wearing dirty, old clothes because that would kind of there would be some kind of strange contrast. Why is the person who's unfashionable and wearing dirty, old clothes selling these brand new clothes? So you have to appear like you belong in the environment, and then that's part of a responsibility of the job too. Get ready for work and look nice. So that would be a C. F, a lab assistant job is a good one for me. Who knows? Not related. Nothing in there is related to that kind of work. That's just a random thought. And if it's a random thought, it doesn't belong with the rest. In the future, I would like to take some business trips. Okay, that sounds good too, but that's not learning responsibility from the current job. That's just a goal. So that's also unconnected, U. Okay, so that's how you go about it. That's how you determine whether something belongs or not. So to the end of the chapter here, make sure you go through this little checklist. We haven't actually done any paragraphs writing yet, but we're going to soon after I give you this week break. You need the information at the top, as I said, your name, the course, my name, and the date. Then you need a title, right? You need to format the paragraph properly, and you need to give and you need to start and end each sentence correctly. And that's kind of a checklist there. So that's on page 12. Now, into the content of the course, finally. Chapter 2 is about giving and receiving gifts. So what we're going to do here is we're going to work on topic sentences especially, because good topic sentences have potential for good paragraphs. Bad topic sentences ruin good paragraphs. Okay? Right. So and these paragraphs aren't necessarily good, but we want to focus on the first part, the topic sentence, not how good the whole paragraph is. You just got to get a good start here. So what we're going to do in this unit is identify topics and main ideas, identify strong and weak topic sentences, practice writing topic sentences and combining using and but and because and so. Okay? So usually a more complex sentence gives more information. So if you have a conjunction in there like and or but or so or because, that makes the sentence automatically explain a little bit more about what your argument is. So if you just make a simple statement, that's not going to work, especially if it's a fact. If you give an opinion and then you provide the direction that you're going with the opinion, where the support is going to come from, the perspective on your opinion, right? Then the people can say, this is the kind of topic I'm interested in, and let's see if this person is able to argue effectively on this topic. All right, so it says, we normally do this in class and we talk about gifts. So a gift is the same thing as a present, as you know, samul in Korean. So gifts are given and gifts are received. They can be made, they can be bought, they can take all kinds of different forms. They can be physical things or they can be things that you do, right? You can actually spend time for something. That's a kind of gift. There's all kinds of different gifts. It doesn't have to be a bicycle. It doesn't have to be, an envelope full of cash. A gift can be somebody doing something for you, right? It can be somebody helping you. It can be somebody, training you. They're not actually physically giving you anything. They're just giving you advice. These are all kinds of gifts. So you have to consider this. When you think about how valuable a gift is, normally people think, well, at the time, how impressive it looks, how much effort it took, and how much money it cost, how big it is, what other people think of it. Those are the things that at the time usually cause you to value the gift more. But over time, when you look back, when you reflect about a gift from a long time ago, if you think back, not from recently, but if you think back years ago, as you get older, some things end up being remembered, and it's usually not the things that are the most expensive or the largest or a particular person who you were impressed with. It's usually, for some reason, there's what we call, when Koreans always say, I want to make a memory. That's what my Korean students always say. I want to go somewhere and I want to make a memory. But your memory doesn't really work like that. You can sometimes forget things that seem like they should be very important, and sometimes you don't. I have a picture. I don't want to show it to you because I would show it to you in class because it's me when I'm in elementary school. But I don't want to put it on my website because I don't want the internet to see it and do something to it. But I have a picture of me and my mother. I'm in my pajamas and I'm sitting on the floor, and it's Christmas Day, and there's Lego all over the floor because I got a Lego set. But in the picture, I'm smiling and my mom's smiling, and it looks like a fantastic day. But I have a different memory of that, a completely different memory of that day. It's very strange. My mother just sent me the picture last week, and pictures can be really precious gifts too. So when my mother sent me this picture, and it's weird how after 34 years, how you can remember something different, and then you see the picture and you're like, oh, it's different than how I remembered. What happened was, I really wanted this space Lego set for Christmas as a gift from Santa, from my parents. And my parents would usually ask us for a wish list and we write down what we wanted. I insisted I wanted this space Lego thing. It was a big, Mars tractor with some magnets on it and stuff. I hope the story is interesting to you. I'll tell it quickly. Anyway, she bought it beforehand, a couple weeks before, and she hid it in her room. And we were told not to go into her room, especially in the closet, because she had hidden Christmas presents there. But I really wanted to know. I couldn't help myself. I wanted to know if she had actually got it, because it was pretty expensive, and she might have got me something else. So I snuck in there when she was busy doing something else, and I dug in the closet and I found the space Lego set that I wanted, this expensive one. So I quickly shut the closet door, ran away. And that was still several weeks before Christmas. But the thing that I remember about that gift the most was the fact that I couldn't tell anybody that I knew, and I couldn't open it, and I couldn't look at it, so I couldn't sleep. So for 2 weeks, poor little Jeremy, who was like in grade 2, we're talking 8 years old, or maybe a little bit older, 9 years old Korean, couldn't sleep because he was so excited about the Lego, and could see it in my mind, but couldn't touch it. So it was kind of the last 2 weeks before Christmas went incredibly slow. And then on Christmas morning, the box was there, it was covered, I knew what was in it, and everybody's like, okay, time to open the presents. And I ripped it all open, and I just remember being like a kind of relieved smile, like a whole lot of stress had finally just dropped out of me. It wasn't the normal excitement I felt, and the surprise wasn't the same. Clearly in the picture my mom showed me, it was maybe an hour later when I was, spreading all the pieces and started to build it, and I had a real happy smile on my face. But the moment I remember was when I had to pretend that I was surprised to open the gift. And ever since then, anytime anyone's asked me for, what do you want for your birthday, I always say surprise me, because I love surprises. I think that the best thing about a gift is the excitement and the surprise that somebody gets you something and you don't know what it's going to be. That's my favorite part. I'm childish. I still don't want to know. When anybody in my family asks me what I want for Christmas, my parents still know. I'm just going to say, just surprise me, just get me something. This year, my parents got me a free subscription to a Shakespeare. I'm an English professor, so a free subscription to the Shakespeare Festival, online because of the coronavirus. So I can watch Shakespeare plays on my TV. They know me really well. They didn't ask me. They just tried to find something that they thought I would like. And I feel like that's more touching than giving somebody some money or saying, what do you want? Or taking them to the department store and say, pick something. Okay, so we're working with definitions of gifts here. So this is not your homework this week. I'm not gonna assign it. This is gonna be assigned next week. So no homework this week, except please finish the paragraph analysis is due by Friday, okay? But next week, you don't have any homework, okay? But next week's lecture, I am going to give you a topic to work on, and it's going to be related to gifts. So you can go ahead and think about the type of thing you would like to talk about. It has to be related to gifts. So like I said, I'm explaining to you that what I consider most important about a gift is the excitement, the expectation, and not the expectation, the excitement that results from getting something you don't know is coming. Whether it's you already know it's your birthday is coming, but you don't know what it is, or that someone just suddenly gives you a present for no reason. Those are my favorite kind of gifts. Where it's not my birthday. Why are you giving it to me? Oh, just because I just wanted to say, I appreciate you. And those are the kind of gifts that I like the most. Now, if you like getting money because it's flexible and you want to be able to spend it the way you want, or You like things that are thoughtful and meaningful, that really show that the person knows who you are really well. These are things to think about, okay? At the bottom of the page, there's a paragraph. I'm going to read that, and then we're going to stop there for today, okay? So, at the bottom of the page 13, and at the beginning of chapter 2, it says, a birthday gift. Choosing a birthday gift for a friend or family member is fun, but it can be difficult. The gift should be personal, and it has to be thoughtful. This is this person's opinion. For example, the best birthday gift I ever got wasn't fancy or expensive. Last year, my mother gave me a photograph of my father when he was my age. He is standing with his mother and father, my grandparents, in front of their house, and he looks happy. I think of my father every time I see that photo. It was a perfect birthday gift. So there is precious memory attached to somebody that the person loves. That is their definition of what a good gift is. But you can come up with your own definition of what a good gift is. And you can also argue that a gift isn't a gift at all, if you want to get philosophical. If you give a gift to somebody, sometimes you're really expecting something in return, you know? Like, is an engagement ring a gift? Yeah, but the other person has to agree to marry you. Otherwise, they don't get it. Okay? So when you give a gift, and you know, when you go to somebody's marriage, you give them money, and they come to your marriage and they give you money. And when it's your brother's birthday, you buy them a gift. And then when it's your birthday, there is a kind of reciprocation that goes on, right? There's a give and take in gifts too. So think about these things. You don't have to write about it yet. Finish your analysis of the paragraphs with issues on page 9 and 10, and please submit them by Friday. And then I will review those in next week's lecture. And then we'll talk about writing our first paper after that. So you have a break from your homework once you finish your second homework assignment. Okay, thank you everybody. Have a good week, and see you next Monday. I know the Friday class is always behind, so you may watch it on another day, but the upload times will continue to be Monday. So see you next week.